Welcome to our YouTube channel, where wisdom meets inspiration. In this channel, we share valuable insights to help you become the best version of yourself. Our content is designed to uplift your spirit and enrich your life. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to stay connected with this incredible journey. Click the subscribe button below.
Swami Vivekananda, there is a famous story about him, that once a Maharaja, probably the Maharaja of Khetri, I'm not quite sure, he asked Swami Vivekananda, why did you become a monk, a sannyasi? And Swami Vivekananda, this is not the whole of the story. The story goes that Swami Vivekananda asked him, why do you hunt? Why do you hunt animals? And that Maharaja said, because I like it. And Swami Vivekananda said, likewise, I am a monk because I like it. I become a sannyasi because I like being a sannyasi. Now you say, what's great about this? This is pretty simple. But actually, when we think about it, it's quite interesting. Why is it interesting? I have asked so many young novices, those who have come to become sannyasis, I'm teaching them now. I'm in Belur Math, the headquarters of our order, where there is a training institution for young people who want to become monks. So I'm teaching there now. And I've often asked them, sometimes asked these young people, why they want to become monks. And the answers I get are, some say I want to realize God, some say I want to know myself, some say I want to find peace, some say, many say that I want to live a life of service, to do good to others. And so many answers. Till now, nobody has said, because I like it. If you say that, why don't you, do you like it or not? Of course, they'll say, yeah, I like it. That's true. But nobody gives this answer directly. So that's very interesting. And as we go on through positive psychology and Vedanta today, we will find behind this very simple answer a key, a very profound concept which will be of help to us in our day-to-day lives. Positive psychology and Vedanta. Positive psychology is new. It's about 20 years or so old, owes mostly to the work of the first gentleman here, Professor Martin Seligman. And one of the things they focus on is human happiness. Basically, why is it called positive psychology? Professor Seligman says, till very recently, psychology and especially psychiatry were concerned with sick people, people who were suffering, how to make them better. As he put it in a talk, how to take people from -5 to 0. But what about taking people from 0 to +5? Like there's medicine which makes sick people better, but there's also sports medicine which makes healthy people faster and stronger. So why not a psychology of human strength? Why just a psychology of human weakness? So that was the idea. And obviously happiness is a central focus, not the only focus of positive psychology, but central focus. Vedanta, which most of you would be aware, is an ancient spiritual philosophy based on the Upanishads. And it has many schools. But Vedanta in itself shares similar goals. If you ask, what is the point of Vedanta? What are you trying to accomplish? They say, Atyantika dukkha nivritti paramananda praptischa. Cessation, complete cessation of suffering, transcending suffering, and attainment of ultimate bliss. So attainment of bliss and human happiness, you can see the congruence there immediately. We shall also deal with the work, primarily the work of the second gentleman here, Professor Dr. Tal Ben Shahar, and also incidentally the work of Professor Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. And yes, that's how you pronounce it. I have referred to Professor Seligman's work on different occasions. To put it very briefly, what he says is this. Human happiness is a function of 3 factors, which he calls pleasure, engagement, and meaning. But they are not equal. Pleasure is what we will normally turn to when we want happiness. So you want some positive emotion. So you go to, just now what we did, we went to that canteen and we had a cup of nice coffee. So you eat something nice, you go out with friends, you watch a movie. All of this comes under pleasure. And this is what we normally turn to for happiness. And Professor Seligman says it is a mistake. Why? Because of certain reasons. One reason is it is ephemeral, transient. Every kind of pleasure known to humanity gives you positive emotions for a while. You get it, you drink that cup of coffee, it gives you some amount of positive feeling for a while, and then it's gone. If you take a rasgulla, it spends 10 seconds on your tongue, and a lifetime creating problems for you elsewhere. So, transience is a factor. And another factor Professor Seligman mentions is its habit forming, in the sense that if it gives you pleasure for some time, and that same thing will not give you pleasure after a while. You need more of that, or a different variety of that. So you get satiated very easily. And so many other defects he mentions. Not that pleasure does not give you happiness. Pleasure does give us happiness, but of a low order and very temporary. Seligman says much more happiness is found in the second factor called engagement. Engagement means when you are absorbed in some activity. It may be your studies, it may be a job, it may be a hobby. There's a difference between pleasure and a hobby. In passive pleasure, like you're watching a cricket match on the TV, that's a kind of pleasure. You go out and play cricket, that is engagement. That's one kind of engagement, where you are actively involved in something that challenges you and absorbs you. That may not be pleasurable. A lot of time your work, the study that you're doing is not pleasurable, but it contributes to your happiness. It contributes to your happiness. In fact, I read about an experiment conducted way back in 1930 in schools in America. The old problem, children want to have fun and we are forcing them to study. So this experiment was done on 600 school students in different parts of America in 1930. And the experiment was very funny. The students, if they behaved well, they would be rewarded with more homework, more work. They have to stay in class and do work. If they were naughty, if they were unruly, they would be allowed to go out and play. You can go out and play. And the amazing thing was, first 1 or 2 days, kids will be kids. So they all wanted to go out and play. Within 2 to 3 days, almost all of the kids didn't want to go out and play. They wanted to do something, whether drawing or mathematics or something, their favorite subjects. They became very, fidgety, unhappy when they were asked to go out and play. Now that shows something very interesting, that engagement, we need some kind of engagement. We need some kind of challenge in our lives. There was this story of a person who was, after death, a criminal. So after death, this angel comes and takes him and throws him in this place. A nice house, somewhere. He imagines that this is heaven. Somehow I've come to heaven by mistake. They've sent me to heaven. And he says, this place, whatever you want, all your wishes will be satisfied immediately. And he's delighted. And he asks for money and so many things, all kinds of pleasures, gadgets or whatever. And everything appears immediately. After a few days, he feels a bit frustrated. He says, you give me something to do. And the angel appears before him and says that's the only problem here. Whatever you want will be given to you, except only one problem, you will not be given any work. And as the days go by, this man, he can't take it anymore. And he begs the angel, send me to hell. I don't like this heaven. And the angel smiles and says, this is hell. This is hell. Which those little children discovered. After 3-4 days when the teacher is not saying anything, just go and play. This is hell. This is not pleasure. So engagement gives a lot of happiness. In fact, more happiness than pleasure. Because the children were offered a choice between engagement and pleasure. At first they took pleasure. After very soon they wanted some kind of engagement. Then Seligman says, even more than engagement. So a career, studies which you like, they'll give you happiness. Though always it may not give you happiness. Sometimes if you don't enjoy what you're doing, it will not give you happiness. It will create a lot of unhappiness. More than this, much more happiness comes from what Seligman terms meaning. Usually, meaning in life is, if you have found a purpose in life, which is, one characteristic is, it's bigger than the self. Usually, pleasure is all about myself. Engagement is more or less about myself, though I interact with others. But I am absorbed and challenged. Whereas meaning is usually about others. It may not be other human beings, it may simply be for the sake of science, for example. A scientist, an artist, a writer finds meaning in art or science. The person of religion finds meaning in fact, religion is a great way of getting meaning in life. So, meaning gives much more happiness than pleasure and engagement. Though most people do not have that kind of meaning in their life, most people are searching for meaning in their lives. So, meaning gives much more happiness than pleasure and engagement. And what Seligman recommends is, we should try to have that meaning and engagement component as much as possible for lasting satisfaction with our lives. Now, let's go ahead. Today, I've talked about this on different occasions, but today I want to problematize this. I want to see that there's a problem with this. As we go ahead, we'll see. Before we go ahead, let me just mention, in Vedanta, the way we look at human goals, what people want in life. Goals not in the sense of what we should want. It's what we really want. Just ask anybody, ask yourself, ask anybody, what do we want in life? And you'll find it comes under these four: kama, artha, dharma, or moksha. These are words which are familiar to most Indians. We often use them, in this order: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. We normally never say kama, artha, dharma, moksha. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. We use it. And we say these are purusharthas. But normally we don't think much about it. There's a wrong understanding that these are goals set forth by scriptures for human beings, that we should pursue this. It is not a question of should pursue this. This is just a list of things which people want. Now, you will immediately see how beautifully it maps onto Seligman's equation. Kama, as you know, is pleasure, is desire. Kama is desire for pleasure. And you can see kama immediately matches the pleasure, the P component. Artha, it's a bit of a stretch. Artha literally means wealth, power, achievement, status, all the things which we want in life, possessions, for example. And to get that, we need this, what we have, an engagement in life. So somehow you can match it with engagement. To a great extent, actually, you can match it with engagement. People are the thing which engages people. If you look at your lives, especially the older people here, in a week, the past week, if you look back, how much of it was spent in pleasure? Very little. Most of it was spent in some kind of engagement, either in your in the institute here or back at home, somewhere. You are working most of the time. So engagement or artha is another thing which we seek. Dharma is a term which means religion, morality. If you open the Sanskrit dictionary, you'll have a whole page of meanings. But I have sort of mapped it onto meaning in life. Dharma is doing something for others, being religious or being moral, being of service to others. So that's there. But the last part, spirituality, that's something that is not included here. I suspect if you ask Professor Seligman, he will try to map it or include it within meaning. He'll probably try to include it within meaning.
Become Swami Vivekananda's messenger. Share the video with 3 of your friends.